Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets counterparts from US, Canada, Germany and Argentina. Also meets EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference in Germany. In Pakistan, PMLN and PPP to hold coordination committees meeting today to finalize government formation at the centre. Indian Space Agency ISRO'S GSLV-F14 carrying INSAT 3DS satellite to lift off today at 5:35 p.m. from Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Sriharikota. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is in Germany for the Munich Security Conference. On Friday, the minister met several world leaders on the sidelines of the conference and discussed issues related to bilateral cooperation and current global situation. The Munich Security Conference is being held in Germany till 18th of February. It offers a unique opportunity for high-level debates on the world's most pressing security challenges. On the sidelines of the Munich summit, Dr. S. Jaishankar also met U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, where the two leaders discussed a wide range of topics, including progress in the bilateral ties. Discussions on the situation in West Asia, Ukraine and Indo-Pacific were also held. Both the leaders also discussed cooperation on maritime security in the Red Sea and the ongoing efforts to secure lasting peace and security in the Middle East region. The 60th Munich Security Conference commenced in Germany on Friday, focusing on the Russia-Ukraine and Israel-Hamas conflicts. Over 180 officials and experts are examining the ongoing conflicts and possible security threats, advocating for dialogue and peace. DD India's correspondent Trent Murray gets us this report from Munich.
Well, this is the 60th anniversary of the Munich Security Conference, and it comes at a time really when it feels there are many potential flashpoints and conflicts which could just spiral out of control into a wider war. We know there are a number of issues on the agenda. I think first and foremost is that situation in Ukraine. We know the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will be speaking at this conference, where we expect he will continue to make that call for the West to provide military and financial support to try and help his country repel that Russian invasion. We also know the situation in Gaza and the wider war between Israel and Hamas is featuring heavily. The Israeli president is here, as well as a very large delegation from the Middle East, including the Palestinian Prime Minister, as well as foreign ministers from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan and Egypt. They are expected to try and apply pressure to Europe and the United States, to in turn apply pressure to Israel to try and hold back from launching this new operation that they're signalling they're going to go ahead with in the city of Rafah in Gaza. We know that is the city that over 1 million Palestinians have evacuated to after months of war. There is very real concern, trepidation here that if a military operation goes ahead there by Israel, then the human casualty count could continue to climb dramatically. We expect that the Israeli president will make this address to the conference, where he will try and mount the case for why Israel needs to move forward with this military operation. But we also expect, behind closed doors, he will hear from even some of his country's closest allies about the concerns they have about what the consequences could be if they decide to go ahead with that operation. Trent Murray for DD India, Munich, Germany.
France and Ukraine signed a bilateral security agreement in Paris on Friday, including pledges from Paris to deliver more arms, train soldiers and send up to 3 billion euros in military aid to Kyiv this year. The French presidency said France has pledged to provide up to 3 billion euros additional military support to Ukraine in 2024. France also pledged to provide more military equipment, in particular for air defense. Speaking alongside his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky, at a press conference, Macron said that Russia's aggression towards Europe has entered a new phase with increasing level of misinformation, adding that he will visit Ukraine before mid-March.
Devant toi, cher Volodymyr, je veux ici redire que
In the framework of this agreement, France has pledged to spend up to 3 billion euros in additional military aid for Ukraine in 2024, following 1.7 billion euros in 2020 and 2.1 billion euros in 2023. France also pledged to continue its support to Ukraine in all aspects, providing military equipment, cooperation among defense industries with the development of co-production, training, intelligence, civil aid, etc.
2022 et les 2,1 milliards d'euros.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the deal was ambitious and very substantive.
We have prepared and signed an ambitious, very substantive security agreement, and it is very important that there are very specific agreements with these, our partners. We are all together, and this union of the United States, Europe, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, we need this union to defeat the Russian Federation, which came to us with an unprovoked war.
Kyiv troops withdrew from Ukraine's southeastern part of Avdiivka to avoid encirclement amid escalating battle on Saturday. The State Border Guard Service of Ukraine released a video showing fierce fighting in Avdiivka. The withdrawal follows months of fierce Russian attacks and marks the biggest change on the front lines since Moscow troops captured Bakhmut in May last year. Ukraine said the decision provided no strategic advantage for Russia. The commander of Ukraine's southeastern sector, Alexander Tarnevsky, said that Ukrainian units pulled back with minor losses. Israel defense troops continue to operate against Hamas in the Nasser hospital. They uncovered medications with the names of Israeli hostages inside the hospital, along with weapons. On receiving a report regarding the failure of electrical systems within the hospital, IDF troops worked to repair the generator while bringing an alternative one. They also supplied food for infants and water to the hospital. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden has once again reiterated calls for a temporary ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas conflict to allow the release of hostages still held by Hamas. The ceasefire calls followed talks between Biden and Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this week.
Well, first of all, I've had extensive conversations with the Prime Minister of Israel over the last several days, almost an hour each. And I've made the case, and I feel very strongly about it, that there has to be a temporary ceasefire to get the prisoners out, to get the hostages out. And that is underway. I'm still hopeful that that can be done.
In a civil fraud case verdict, a New York court has mandated former US President Donald Trump to pay $354 million. Now, Trump's defense plans to challenge the ruling, and the former president contends that it was prompted by political bias. DD India's William Denslow provides more insights from the courthouse in Manhattan.
New York's Attorney General Letitia James was calling for the judge to make Donald Trump pay $370 million in penalties and receive a lifetime ban from operating a business here in the state of New York.
Today, justice has been served. Today, we prove that no one is above the law. No matter how rich, powerful, or politically connected you are, everyone must play by the same rules. We have a responsibility to protect the integrity of the marketplace. And for years, Donald Trump engaged in deceptive business practices and tremendous fraud. Donald Trump falsely, knowingly, inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself, his family, and to cheat the system. Donald Trump may have authored the art of the deal, but he perfected the art of the steal.
The Attorney General didn't get that, but she got pretty close, with the judge ordering Donald Trump to pay over $350 million, as well as giving Donald Trump a 3-year ban from operating a business here in his hometown state. It wasn't just Donald Trump himself that was penalised by Judge Arthur Ngoran. His adult male children also received penalties. They have been ordered, both Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, to both pay $4 million. They are both to receive a 2-year ban from operating a business in New York each. This, of course, comes just a few weeks after a separate judge in a separate case ordered Donald Trump to pay to the tune of $83 million in a case that he was accused of defaming the writer E. Jean Carroll, after a judge had previously said that he was liable for sexual assault as well. So Donald Trump's legal bills are certainly racking up. This announcement comes in a week where a judge has announced that he'll face his first criminal trial in the state on March 25th. That in connection to alleged ties that Donald Trump had paid hush money to a porn star in the lead up to the 2016 presidential election. After the judge's verdict was announced this Friday, Donald Trump's team sent out an email to his supporters saying that this was an undeniable election interference and a witch hunt.
These are corrupt people. These are people that shouldn't be allowed to do the things they do. And they're using this as weaponization against a political opponent who's up a lot in the polls and always will be, because I'm competing with a man who can't put two sentences together, who doesn't know what he's doing.
Interestingly, we also heard in the ruling from the judge himself where he said that the lack of remorse from Donald Trump bordered on the pathological. Donald Trump maintains that he has done nothing wrong, and all of the various cases, be it civil or criminal, he denies wrongdoing, saying that they are all examples of election interference and a product of a weaponized justice system. In New York, William Denslow reporting for DD India.
Shifting focus to Pakistan now, the Pakistan People's Party and Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, or the PMLN Coordination Committee's meeting will be held today to finalize the government formation at the centre after it got postponed on Friday, according to media reports. The meeting was postponed as the PMLN's committee is yet to consult on the matter with the party's senior leadership. The meeting will provide more clarity on the coalition's power-sharing formula. Earlier, the scheduled meeting between the two major parties could not take place on Thursday, as both sides sought more time to assess proposals that came up in their first meeting. The PPP has assured PMLN of its support in the formation of a government as well as the election of the next Prime Minister on the condition of PMLN's support in elections to the key constitutional offices. And staying with Pakistan, following the PTI's announcement to protest demonstration in the capital, the Islamabad Deputy Commissioner refused to grant permission to hold protests on Saturday. According to media reports, the administration rejected PTI's application, maintaining that demonstrations cannot be allowed given Section 144 of the Criminal Procedure Code, which is in force in the capital city. Further, the administration has also asked the citizens to avoid getting involved in any political gathering. PTI leaders rejected reports of Imran Khan softening his stance and agreeing to hold talks with Bilawal Bhutto's PPP. Meanwhile, the PTI on Friday announced that it will sit in opposition at the centre and Punjab as the political parties make efforts to finalise the process of government formation in Pakistan and provinces after the general elections. The decision has been taken as per the directives issued by PTI founder Imran Khan, who remains incarcerated in Rawalpindi's Adiala jail. Jailed former Thailand Premier Thaksin Shinawatra will be released on Sunday. Thaksin has been in hospital detention since August after making a dramatic homecoming from living abroad for 15 years in self-exile to avoid prison for a conflict of interest. He had his 8-year jail term commuted to a year by the king after his return and has served 6 months in hospital detention due to an undisclosed health condition. According to reports, a former policeman and telecom magnate who has been at the center of a tumultuous 2-decade battle for power in Thailand, Thaksin was on a list of 930 prisoners who were considered elderly or ill and approved for parole. It was until now not certain when he would be freed. February 18th is the first day of his parole eligibility. Heads of state of the African Union are meeting in Addis Ababa for a two-day meeting to discuss issues affecting the continent, including security and conflict. The bloc of 55 countries will also review policies and decisions that govern the organization. DD India's Isabel Nakeria reports on this.
Member states of the African Union are expected to focus on rising tensions in the Horn of Africa. An agreement for access to the sea between Ethiopia and the breakaway Somaliland is causing tensions with Somalia. The deal gives landlocked Ethiopia access to the Red Sea and allows it to build a military base in Somaliland, which is not recognized internationally as an independent state. Somalia considers Somaliland an integral part of its territory. During a meeting of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, or IGAD, in Kampala in January, member states, including the African Union, the US and EU, reaffirmed their support for Somalia. The escalating insecurity in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo and the conflict in Sudan will also be discussed. The conflicts have forced millions of people to move to safety, with huge numbers living in internally displaced people's camps, and the UN calling for billions of dollars in aid. The situation in West Africa will also be addressed, and the AU Commission Chief Moussa Faki this week expressed dismay that Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have pulled out of the regional body ECOWAS. The AU chief noted that member states need to be united in order to form a stronger bloc to deal with challenges in the region. The meeting will also highlight preparations for the elections of new members of the African Union. Isabel Nakeria, reporting from Kampala for DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, the 24th edition of exercise Vayu Shakti 24 by Indian Air Force to be held in Pokhran Air to Ground Range near India's Jaisalmer. Stay with us as we tell you what all will be at display. India stages a remarkable comeback at the stroke of lunch on day 3 of the Rajkot Test against England.
Between all major cities across the world is hope and the promise of new opportunities and possibilities that gravitates people towards them.
The reason why we advocate green transformations is because you can retain the building and you can actually modify.
There's a lot that happens when you extract sand beyond sustainable limits. It's going to change your course of your river, it's going to widen the channel, it's going to damage, and we are paying a big price.
We have 2 water reservoirs on 84 acres of land. During periods when the river water is non-saline, we store water in these reservoirs. Throughout the year, we distribute this water to residents.
Tiny houses are in vogue. Less is more. Many also assume tiny homes are more eco-friendly.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. India's ruling party, Bharatiya Janata Party, is convening a 2-day National Council meeting in the national capital. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be attending the meet at Bharat Mandapam. Prime Minister also visited the exhibition on Viksit Bharat Abhiyan at the venue. BJP President JP Nadda, Union Minister Amit Shah and other senior leaders are attending the meet. With participation of more than 11,500 delegates, the gathering will witness the adoption of resolutions reflecting on the 10 years of Modi government, along with discussions on the approaching elections. Ahead of the launch of the GSLV-F14 and Sat-3DS mission, Indian Space Research Agency's chief S. Somnath offered prayers at Changalama Parameshwar Temple in southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh. The ISRO chief said the satellite will help attain more accurate and informative weather forecasts by studying the surface of the ocean and will be able to provide natural disaster warnings.
Satellite is meant for our weather climate studies. It's a meteorological satellite. I think you know the cyclones we track using the satellite. We predict weather for the country, looking at the rainfall, the cloud cover, and many other parameters we measure. This satellite is built for our Ministry of Earth Science, specifically the Indian Meteorological Department. They do all the data analysis and provide you the weather forecast and all the protection of our natural resources. So we are launching it. This is the third satellite in the series. INSAT 3D and 3D are already there in space. So this is the third satellite, INSAT 3DS.
The launch of GSLV-F14 INSAT 3DS mission is set to take place at 5:35 p.m. from Sriharikota. The GSLV mission aims at deploying the INSAT 3DS meteorological satellite into the geosynchronous transfer orbit. The satellite's primary objectives are multifaceted and crucial for environmental monitoring and safety. It is equipped to monitor Earth's surface and carry out oceanic observations in various spectral channels that are vital for meteorological analysis. Let's take a look at this special report.
ISRO's 16th GSLV mission on Saturday is aimed at providing the vertical profile of various meteorological parameters of the atmosphere, provide the data collection and data dissemination capabilities from the data collection platforms, and also boast satellite-aided search and rescue services. This geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle, GSLV, is a three-stage 51.7-meter-long launch vehicle having a lift-off mass of 420 tons. The first stage, GS1, comprises a solid propellant S139 motor having 139-ton propellant and 4 earth-storable propellant stages L40 strap-ons, which carry 40 tons of liquid propellant in each. The second stage, GS2, is also an earth-storable propellant stage loaded with 40-ton propellant. The third stage, GS3, is a cryogenic stage with a 15-ton propellant loading of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. GSLV-F14 INSAT 3DS mission is funded by the Ministry of Earth Sciences. It is designed for enhanced meteorological observations and monitoring of land and ocean surfaces for weather forecasting and disaster warning. The satellite will augment the meteorological services along with the presently operational INSAT 3D and INSAT 3DR satellites. Indian industries have significantly contributed to the making of the satellite. INSAT 3DS satellite is a follow-on mission of third-generation meteorological satellite from geostationary orbit. Various departments of the Ministry of Earth Sciences, such as the Indian Meteorology Department, National Centre for Medium-Range Weather Forecasting, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, National Institute of Ocean Technology, Indian National Centre for Ocean Information Services, and various other agencies and institutes will be using the INSAT 3DS satellite data to provide improved weather forecast. Aisha Khanam reports for DD India.
The Indian Air Force gears up for the spectacular display of its capabilities with exercise Vayu Shakti, scheduled for today at the Pokhran Air-to-Ground Range near India's Jaisalmer. This exercise is the 24th edition of its kind, and it promises to be a riveting showcase of IAF's offensive and defensive prowess. This year, the exercise will witness participation by 121 aircraft, including the indigenous Tejas, Prachand and Dhruv. Indigenous surface-to-air weapon systems, Akash and Samar, will demonstrate their capabilities. Exercise Vayu Shakti is a demonstration of IAF's capability to deliver weapons with long range, conventional weapon accurately, highlighting its joint operation capabilities with the Indian Army. As part of his 4-day official visit to the United States, India's Chief of Army Staff, General Manoj Pandey, visited the Defense Innovation Unit, the forefront military innovation unit of the U.S. Army in San Francisco, and interacted with Doug Beck, Director of Defense Innovation Unit and Senior Advisor to the Secretary of Defense. The Indian Army Chief also visited the California National Guard. The visit by the Army Chief epitomizes shared values and interests that underpin the partnership between India and the United States, and it aims at further enhancing bilateral cooperation and development in defense and security domains. A cultural program on life and bravery of Khasi freedom fighter U. Tirot Singh was organized on Friday evening at Bangladesh Shilp Kala Academy in Dhaka. The program was a composite presentation of the performing arts of Meghalaya. The thematic anchor of the cultural evening was based on the life and bravery of Tirot Singh, who attained martyrdom in Dhaka on 17th of July, 1835. The Deputy Chief Minister of Meghalaya, Deputy High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh, Binoy George, ministers and officers from the Government of Meghalaya, historians and scholars and invited guests were present during the program. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal appeared before Rao's Avenue Court via video conferencing in the matter of Enforcement Directorate's recent complaint against him in the excise policy case. The court has fixed March 16 for the physical appearance of Arvind Kejriwal. The next round of talks between Indian government and the protesting farm leaders will take place on Sunday. India's Union Minister Anurag Singh Thakur said the discussions so far have been very productive. Punjab Chief Minister said that the talks were held in a cordial atmosphere and he's hopeful of finding a solution to end the deadlock. Sports updates now. India staged a remarkable comeback in the morning session of Day 3 of the third Test match against England in western city of Rajkot. Team India gave England early jolt on Day 3rd by removing Joe Root, Johnny Bairstow and opener Ben Duckett after England resumed their overnight innings at 207 for 2. Jasprit Bumrah and Kuldeep Yadav rose to the occasion and claimed 3 wickets to keep the hosts ahead in the session. Jasprit Bumrah, in fact, he first dismissed Joe Root on 18. Then Kuldeep Yadav removed Johnny Bairstow and opener Ben Duckett, who smashed 153. England would now try to go close to India's total. On the other hand, the likes of Jasprit Bumrah, Ravindra Jadeja and others aim to get some more breakthroughs in order to gain an upper hand. As per the latest reports, England just lost their 6th wicket in form of Ben Stokes. Earlier on Day 2, England bowled out India on 445 runs in their first innings. That's it in this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.